Look, Maya, I appreciate your input, but this is clearly above your pay grade. We'll handle it from here.
Thank you, Maya, but I'll take it from here. We wouldn't want to trouble you with the details.
The ballroom lights made everything look expensive and safe. Crystal glare, polished marble, soft jazz sliding under laughter. But Maya Carter's stomach stayed clenched like it knew the truth. She stood at the edge of the stage with a headset, wire warm against her neck, watching donors lift glasses like blessings. Grant Whitmore took the microphone with the confidence of a man who'd never been told no in a room like this. He smiled for cameras first. Then his eyes flicked to Maya, quick, dismissive, like he'd noticed a stain on the carpet. "Tonight," Grant said, voice smooth, "we honor innovation and, of course, the people who keep things running." Maya's name sat on the cue card. She saw it. He didn't say it. He leaned toward the mic, lowering his tone as if sharing a joke. Some folks are just better suited for the back of the house. Logistics. Quiet work. A laugh sparked, thin, uncertain, then spread anyway. Maya felt heat crawl up her throat, around her. Faces turned away like looking would make them complicit. Grant's smile sharpened. He snapped his fingers once, casually, like calling someone over. "Let's move you along, sweetheart." The knife line came soft in public. "This isn't your kind of room." Maya stepped back, swallowing humiliation like a stone. Then her phone buzzed in her pocket. Unknown number. One message. Check the live stream. They didn't cut the mic. Maya looked up and heard Grant's backstage voice spill into the speakers for everyone to hear. Maya Carter had planned every minute of the Innovate Summit down to the last lanyard clip. But there was no checklist for the moment a room decided she didn't belong in it. The ballroom at the Harborview Hotel smelled of cologne and warm shrimp. Cameras flashed at the sponsor wall, where Grant Whitmore, CEO, keynote, hometown savior, posed with city council members. Maya stood near the stage stairs with a folder pressed to her ribs, headset tucked under her hairline, eyes on the countdown monitor. 2 minutes, the stage manager whispered. Maya nodded. "House lights down on my cue. Give me 30 seconds of walk-on music. Then the sponsor reel." Behind her, a server brushed past with a tray of champagne. The server murmured, "Sorry," without meeting her eyes. Maya felt that small, familiar thing, the assumption she was staff, not the person directing staff. Grant strolled in from the green room, laughing with Derek Mills, the head of sales. Derek's suit looked like it had never been sat in. "There she is," Derek said, loud enough for nearby donors to hear. "Our miracle worker." Maya forced a professional smile. "Mr. Whitmore, you're on in 90 seconds. Your teleprompter is set for the updated remarks." Grant's gaze slid over a badge, then up, lingering like he was appraising a product. "Relax," he said. "You people love your scripts." Derek chuckled. A woman in a red dress looked away, lips tight, as if she tasted something sour. Maya kept her voice even. "The mayor's office asked for the revised shout-out. It's on page 2. Grant leaned closer, breath smelling of mint and expensive whiskey. "Tell me something, Maya," he said softly. "Did you get this job because you're good or because HR want a brochure?" Her fingers tightened around the folder. "I got it because I'm good at it." He smiled, the kind that showed teeth but no warmth. "Cute." The walk-on music started. The room dimmed. A spotlight cut across the stage like a blade. "Mr. Whitmore," the stage manager urged. Grant stepped up the stairs, took the mic, and the applause swelled on command. He basked in it, hands open, face lifted. "Good evening," he boomed. "Innovation doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens because a community decides to build something bigger than itself." Maya watched the front rows. Donors, reporters, city staff, board members from Whitmore Technologies. Faces smiling, phones raised. Grant turned, gesturing toward the wings. "And tonight, we should thank the staff who keep the wheels turning." Maya's name was on the cue card. She saw it, bolded. She stepped forward half a pace. Grant didn't read it. He lowered his voice as if sharing a private joke with the room. "Some people are built for the back of the house," he said. "They're great at logistics. They're comfortable there. A ripple of laughter, quick and nervous. Maya felt heat climb her neck. Grant looked directly at her now. "Let's get you off stage, sweetheart. This isn't your kind of room." The words landed like cold water. Maya's chest went tight. For a second, the applause in the room sounded like rain on a coffin. She turned a step back because the job demanded it, because every instinct screamed not to give him what he wanted. Then, through her headset, a production assistant hissed, "Oh my God." He didn't mute. The house feed is still open. Maya froze. From the speakers, faint but unmistakable, Grant's voice carried between lines of his speech. Not the booming keynote voice. The one meant for backstage. "Keep her moving," he muttered, thinking no one could hear. "I'm not having her stand beside me like some diversity prop." A murmur swept the ballroom. Heads turned. Phones tilted higher. Maya's stomach dropped. She saw Derek's grin falter. She saw a reporter's eyes sharpen. Hungry. Grant kept talking, unaware for 2 full breaths. "We're here to invest in the future." But the damage was already blooming across the room like a spill. Maya's phone vibrated in her pocket. One message, no name. "Check the live stream." They didn't cut the mic. Her hands moved before her mind caught up. She pulled the phone out, opened the link, and there it was. The live video, the comments exploding, the caption someone had typed in real time. Race's CEO caught hot mic. Her phone buzzed again. A call from Tasha Brooks, her assistant, whispered through the speaker. "Maya, he's still live. Listen." On the stream, Grant's voice, no applause now, cut through the room. "Get her out. I won't have her making this about race," he muttered, sharp, careless. Derek laughed. "Security will handle it." Maya's stomach dropped. Not a joke. A directive, recorded, shared, undeniable. Around her, the donors kept smiling, pretending they hadn't heard, because comfort was their currency. She heard her own breathing, fast and loud. She felt every eye on the stage, on Grant, then sliding toward her like she was evidence. A security guard stepped into the wing, scanning for a problem to remove. Maya lifted her gaze as the guard started walking straight toward her. The corridor behind the ballroom was colder, the air sharp with hotel cleaner and electricity from temporary lighting. Maya followed the security guard past stacked chairs and coil cables, her heels clicking too loudly, as if announcing guilt she didn't own. "Ma'am," the guard said, hand hovering near her elbow. "This way." "I know where I'm going," Maya replied. "I planned the floor layout." He didn't answer. He just kept walking, eyes forward, trained to escort problems out of sight. Helen Price from Human Resources appeared at the service door like she'd been waiting inside the walls. Her blazer was immaculate, her smile calm and untroubled. "Maya," Helen said warmly, "let's step into conference B for a moment." Maya stopped. "Is Grant in there?" Helen's smile didn't move. "We just want to pause and make sure everyone's safe." "Everyone," Maya repeated. She glanced back toward the ballroom, now sealed behind heavy doors. The muffled sound of voices pulsed through. "I'm safe. Are you removing me?" "No one's removing anyone," Helen said, voice soothing. "We want to de-escalate." Maya felt the words settle on her shoulders like a label. "De-escalate what?" "I didn't say anything." Another guard joined them, broader, scanning her face like he'd been warned. Helen opened the door. "Please." Conference room was beige and windowless, a long table under buzzing lights. A bowl of untouched mints sat in the center. At the far end, Martin Keene from legal was already seated, pen in hand, legal pad half filled. "Ms. Carter," Martin said, nodding. "Maya," she corrected, then wished she hadn't. Helen closed the door gently, as if softness could contain damage. "Sit down." Maya stayed standing. "Tell me what's happening." "There was an audio incident," Martin said. "It wasn't an incident," Maya replied. "It was him." Helen tilted her head. "We understand you're upset." "I'm not upset," Maya said. "I was insulted publicly." Then he said it again privately and forgot the mic was on. Martin raised a placating hand. "Intent isn't the focus right now." Maya stared at him. "He called me a prop." Silence stretched. Helen leaned forward. These events are stressful. High pressure. We don't want you making statements while emotions are elevated. Maya's phone buzzed. Messages stacked across the screen. Links, clips, captions already burned in. She looked up. The internet's making statements. That's exactly why we need to slow this down, Helen said. So you can catch up? Maya said. Martin's pen paused. We can offer support. Paid leave. A private conversation with Mr. Whitmore once things settle. When he's comfortable, Maya said. Not when I am. Helen exhaled through her nose. I'm asking you to keep this internal. Maya let out a short laugh. He said it through the speakers. The door opened suddenly. Tasha Brooks slipped in breathless, eyes blazing. Maya, Tasha said. Helen stiffened. This is confidential. Tasha ignored her. They're trying to shut down the live stream, but it's everywhere. Reporters are downstairs. Maya's throat tightened. The mayor? Her aide left, Tasha said. Fast. Martin straightened. This is exactly why discretion matters. Maya turned to him. Discretion always seems to mean silence from people like me. Helen's voice sharpened slightly. Maya, don't make this political. Maya blinked. My existence isn't politics. You know what I mean, Helen said quickly. We can address hurt feelings without escalation. Hurt feelings. Tasha snapped. He snapped his fingers at her. Helen shot her a warning look. Tasha. Martin slid a paper across the table. Let's discuss options. A voluntary separation package. Generous compensation. A neutral reference. Maya stared. You want me to resign? It can be framed as mutual, Martin said. It prevents further disruption. Maya stepped closer. So I'm the disruption. No, Helen said. The narrative is... Maya looked at the paper. Numbers, benefits. A neat paragraph titled non-disparagement. A gag order, Tasha whispered. Standard, Martin replied. Maya's chest felt hollow. She thought of every meeting where she'd soften her tone, every time she'd been praised as articulate, every promotion that stalled without explanation. Helen softened again. You've done excellent work. We don't want this to define you. Maya met her eyes. You don't want it to define him. Helen didn't respond. Outside, voices rose, reporters calling names, staff whispering. The world pressed closer. Maya pushed the paper back. I'm not signing anything today. Martin's gaze cooled. That's unwise. For who? Maya asked. Helen's smile thinned. Please don't turn this into a spectacle. Maya felt something settle inside her, heavy and clear. She looked at Tasha, who nodded once. It already is, Maya said. You just didn't expect a camera to face you. A knock hit the door. Ms. Carter, a voice called. Press. Helen stiffened. Martin's pen stopped. Maya removed her headset and placed it on the table carefully, like setting down a weight she'd carried too long. Then she reached the door. The hallway outside conference be transformed into a holding pen for consequence. Camera lights flared as the door opened. A reporter stepped forward immediately, microphone already raised. Ms. Carter, did the CEO make racially discriminatory remarks toward you tonight? Helen Price moved fast, hand up, no comments at this time. Maya felt the words push against her ribs. No comments had always meant no protection. She stepped around Helen before she could think better of it. Yes, Maya said. Her voice didn't shake. He did. The sound that followed wasn't applause or outrage. It was phones unlocking, fingers typing, a collective inhale as the story sharpened. Helen hissed, Maya. I'm not speculating, Maya continued. It was recorded. It was public. And it wasn't the first time. That did it. The reporter's eyes widened. Another mic pushed in. Can you clarify what you mean by not the first time? Before Maya could answer, Martin Keene's voice cut through. This conversation is over. Security stepped in again, not toward Grant, not toward Derek, but toward Maya. Tasha moved beside her, shoulder to shoulder. She's not under arrest, Tasha said. You don't get to hurt her. A man in a dark suit approached from the opposite end of the hall, phone pressed tight to his ear. Maya recognized him immediately. Alex Moreno, executive aide to board member Charles Whitmore, Grant's uncle. Alex lowered the phone. "Maya," he said, voice tight, "we need to talk. Now." Helen's relief was visible. "Yes, please. Conference A." Maya hesitated. Every instinct told her this was the pivot, the moment where things could be folded back into silence. Her phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. "Emergency board meeting called. 30 minutes. Grant is furious. 30 minutes. That was how long it took Power to realize it had been caught. Conference A was larger, glass-walled, overlooking the harbor. The city lights shimmered outside like nothing had changed. Inside, the air was brittle. Alex shut the door. "This is moving fast," he said. "Faster than anyone anticipated." "Funny how that works," Maya replied. Helen perched at the table's edge. "We're trying to contain damage." "Whose?" Maya asked. Alex didn't answer directly. "Sponsors are calling. The mayor's office has requested distance. The live stream clip has been shared over 2 million times." Tasha let out a low whistle. "Wow." Grant's voice carried from the hallway. Sharp, raised. "This is absurd. She baited me." Maya's jaw tightened. "He's framing this as provocation," Alex said quietly, "as a misunderstanding." "A misunderstanding requires confusion," Maya said. He was clear. Helen clasped her hands. "Maya, we need to be strategic." Maya turned to her. "You need to be strategic. I need to be honest." Alex's phone buzzed again. He read, then looked up. "The board wants you present." Maya blinked. "Present?" "Yes," he said. "Virtually at first." Helen stiffened. "That's highly irregular." "So is this," Alex replied. Tasha squeezed Maya's hand under the table. "You don't have to do anything." Maya thought of the severance paper, the non-disparagement clause, the way security had moved toward her, without question. "I'll attend," Maya said. The board call started with muted faces and squares, men and women framed by bookshelves and office art. The chair cleared her throat. "Maya Carter," the chair said, "thank you for joining on short notice." Grant's square was dark. Then it flickered on. His face filled the screen, flushed jaw tight. "This is ridiculous," he said immediately. "I will not be ambushed." The chair raised a hand. "Grant." Maya spoke before she could be cut off. "You snapped your fingers at me on stage. You told me I didn't belong in the room. Then you referred to me as a diversity prop while the mic was live." Grant laughed once. Sharp. "Oh, come on. That's not." "It's recorded," Maya said. "In context." Silence. One board member spoke carefully. "Grant, did you say those words?" Grant leaned back. "This is cancel culture hysteria." Another square unmuted. "Answer the question." Grant's eyes flicked, calculating. "I may have used an unfortunate phrase. Under stress." Maya's heart pounded. She didn't interrupt. She let him dig. The chair exhaled. "We are convening an emergency review. Until then, Grant, step away from public-facing duties." Grant slammed his hand out of frame. "You can't be serious." "I am," the chair said. Maya felt it then, not triumph, not relief, but a strange clarity. This wasn't justice. This was panic management. The call ended abruptly. Alex looked at Maya, something like respect breaking through his caution. "You should know," he said. "This only moved because donors threatened to pull out." Maya nodded. "I know. 30 minutes ago, she'd been told she didn't belong in the room. Now the room was scrambling to explain itself. But as she watched Grant storm past the glass wall, eyes burning with something unfinished, Maya understood one thing clearly. This wasn't over. Maya didn't sleep that night. Not because of adrenaline, because her mind refused to let the past stay buried. By morning, the clip had been played on every major network. Grant's voice, diversity prop, looped beneath panel discussions and cheering debates. The company's official statement landed at 6:12 a.m. Whitmore Technologies is committed to inclusion and is reviewing the matter internally. Maya read it twice, then closed her laptop. Internally, she said aloud, like always, her apartment felt too small. The hum of the fridge, the buzz of her phone, the city outside pretending this was just another Tuesday. She sat at her kitchen table and opened a new folder on her laptop. Timeline. She started with what she could remember clearly. Year 1. Performance review. Excellent organizational skills. Still developing executive presence. She remembered asking her manager what that meant. He'd smiled. You're great in the weeds. We just need to see you project confidence. She scrolled. Year 2. Promotion promised, then quietly delayed. The role went to Derek's former golf buddy. Year 3. Pay adjustment denied. Market constraints. Her phone buzzed. Tasha, I found something, Tasha said, voice tight. You need to see this. An hour later, they sat side by side at the table, coffee untouched. Tasha pulled up an internal drive folder she shouldn't have had access to. Former HR coordinator sent it anonymously, she said. She quit last year. Inside were PDFs, complaints, emails, redacted names, but not all of them. Maya's breath caught. One complaint dated 4 years back. Senior leadership made derogatory remarks about my appearance and suitability for client-facing roles. Another, I was told I was lucky to be here. Another, HR advised me not to misinterpret tone. Maya whispered, there are so many. And look at this, Tasha said, pulling up a spreadsheet. Settlements, confidential, all under $200,000, all with non-disparagement clauses. Maya leaned back, the weight of it pressing on her chest. This wasn't accidental, she said. It was operational. Her phone rang. A known number. She hesitated, then answered. Hello. Maya Carter, a woman's voice said. My name is Denise Walker. I'm a civil rights attorney. I represent 3 former employees of Whitmore Technologies. They asked me to call you. Maya closed her eyes. I was hoping someone would. They met that afternoon in Denise's office, clean, spare, walls lined with framed verdicts and newspaper clippings. Denise listened without interrupting, only nodding, taking notes. When Maya finished, Denise folded her hands. This isn't about one insult. No, Maya said. It's about a system that let him do it. Denise nodded. Courts look for patterns. So do regulators. What you're describing, coded language, stalled advancement, selective enforcement, that's how discrimination hides. Maya laughed softly, without humor. They always told me I was imagining it. That's by design, Denise said. Exhaustion is a defense strategy. Maya stared at the table. What does this cost? Denise didn't soften it. Time, privacy, peace. Maya swallowed. And if I don't? Denise met her eyes. Then this ends with a statement and a new CEO, and the system stays intact. That night, Maya opened her work email, still active for now, and searched her name. Hundreds of threads appeared. She read slowly, carefully. She saved everything. A message from a former colleague came through LinkedIn. I saw what happened. I left because of him. I'm sorry I didn't speak up then. Another followed. They told me to be grateful. I wasn't. Thank you for saying it. The support warmed her, but it didn't erase the ache. Every document felt like reopening a bruise. Every memory sharpened by context. At midnight, an email arrived from HR. We remain committed to resolving this matter swiftly and respectfully. Swiftly, respectfully, quietly. Maya forwarded it to Denise. Her phone buzzed again. Tasha, board meeting leaked, Tasha said. They're worried about regulators now, not just PAR. Maya stared at the city lights through her window. She thought of Grant's certainty, the snap of his fingers, the way security had moved toward her first. She understood something new and terrible. This wasn't about proving she was harmed. It was about proving they'd done it on purpose. Again and again. She closed the folder, then reopened it. Timeline, she typed, and kept going. The boardroom sat on the 42nd floor, all glass and angles, designed to suggest transparency while keeping everything sealed. Maya had worked in this building for 6 years. It was the first time she'd been invited upstairs. An assistant met her at reception, polite and tight-lipped. "They're ready for you." Maya adjusted her blazer, feeling the familiar flicker of doubt try to surface. She pressed it down. Doubt was a luxury she could no longer afford. The door opened. The table was long, polished, reflective enough that Maya could see herself distorted along its surface, elongated, fragmented. 8 board members sat spaced evenly. Legal counsel at the far end, tablets open, eyes guarded. The chair, Eleanor Whitmore, gestured to an empty seat halfway down. "Ms. Carter, thank you for coming." Maya remained standing. "I prefer to speak first." A few eyebrows lifted. Eleanor nodded once. "Go ahead." Maya took a breath. "I'm not here because of one comment. I'm here because what happened on stage was the end of a pattern, not the beginning." Grant arrived late. The door swung open hard enough to rattle the glass. He walked in without looking at Maya, jaw set, confidence fraying at the edges. "This is insane," he said, dropping into his chair. "We're really doing this?" Eleanor's voice cooled. "Grant, you'll wait." Maya didn't look at him. She opened her folder and slid copies down the table. "Performance reviews," she said. "Promotion denials. Pay data. HR complaints." Grant scoffed. "This is a hit job." Maya finally met his eyes. "You call me a prop. You're taking out of context." There was no context that made it acceptable. One board member, a man with silver hair and careful diction, leaned forward. "Ms. Carter, why didn't you report these concerns earlier?" Maya smiled tightly. "I did, repeatedly." She turned another page. "Here's the response I received. Don't misinterpret tone. He didn't mean it that way. You don't want to be seen as difficult." Grant laughed, sharp and brittle. "You're twisting internal feedback into discrimination." "No," Maya said. "I'm naming it." Eleanor interjected. "Grant, did you ever refer to Ms. Carter as a diversity prop?" Grant crossed his arms. "It was a joke, off the cuff." "Jokes require consent," Maya said. "And power changes what words do." Silence pressed in. Another board member, a woman who hadn't spoken yet, cleared her throat. "Grant, how many settlements has the company issued related to workplace conduct?" Grant stiffened. "That's irrelevant." Legal counsel shifted. "It's relevant." Maya didn't gloat. She didn't smile. She watched as certainty drained from Grant's face in real time. "I'm not asking for your job," Maya said evenly. "I'm asking you to stop pretending this was an anomaly." Grant leaned forward, eyes flashing. "You think this makes you brave? You think the internet makes you right?" Maya's hands trembled, just slightly. She placed them flat on the table. "I think you mistaken silence for approval," she said. Eleanor exhaled. "Ms. Carter, what do you want?" The question landed heavier than Maya expected. She thought of the severance package, the non-disparagement clause, the easy exit. She shook her head. "I want accountability that doesn't disappear when the cameras do." Grant barked a laugh. "This is extortion." "It's documentation," Maya replied. Eleanor exchanged looks with the other board members. Procedure kicked in, motions, language, delay. "We will be forming an independent review committee," Eleanor said. "Effective immediately." Grant slammed his palm on the table. "You're caving to pressure." "No," Eleanor said. "We're responding to evidence." Maya felt a strange ache of it. Not victory, not justice, but a crack in something that had always seemed unbreakable. As the meeting adjourned, Grant stood close to her, voice low. "You just burned every bridge." Maya met his glare. "You lit the match." She walked out alone, the glass walls reflecting her step by step. For the first time, the room had heard her, and it could never unhear her again. By the time Maya left the boardroom, the city had already begun talking. Notifications pinged relentlessly, emails, texts, alerts. Every major outlet had picked up the clip. Pair it with a phrase CEO calls employee diversity prop. On live mic, hashtags trended. Commentary flooded social media. Maya sat in her apartment, Laptop balanced on her knees, scrolling. The words blurred. Racism in corporate America, Whitmore under scrutiny, microaggression goes viral. A part of her wanted to look away. But the pull of evidence, the real-time proof of what had been hidden for years, was intoxicating. Tasha leaned against the kitchen counter. They're dissecting every second, she said. Even the body language. People are actually noticing. Maya sighed. It's terrifying and exhilarating at the same time. But the story is bigger than me. It's about the pattern. Pattern, Tasha echoed, shaking her head. You can see it now. All these employees connecting dots. The phone rang. Maya answered. It was her sister, Carla. Are you okay? Carla asked, voice tight. I've seen the clips. People are talking. Some of it isn't kind. Maya closed her eyes. I know. I'm fine. Just tired of being invisible. Carla's silence was long. Just promise me you'll be careful. People will turn on you. Maya nodded, though she didn't know if she believed it herself. She hung up and looked at Tasha. This isn't just about PR anymore. They're scrambling because their power is threatened. Tasha glanced at the computer. The sponsors, the city, they've started distancing themselves. Fast. Maya leaned closer to the screen. Comment sections were alive with debate. Some praised her courage. Others called her overreacting. Some whispered that she jeopardized jobs. She thought of every person she had worked with who had smiled politely and looked away, the years she had swallowed insults, the times she had been grateful for opportunities. An email pinged from Denise Walker, her civil rights attorney. This is bigger than we anticipated. Prepare for formal statements. Document everything. People are talking. They're scared now. We can push further. Maya exhaled slowly. She opened her documents folder, the one she'd been curating meticulously. Performance reviews, emails, complaints, spreadsheets, everything. I'm not the only one, she said quietly, more to herself than anyone. I know, Tasha replied, and they're all showing up now. The pattern is undeniable. The news cycle intensified. Live panels dissected every frame of the clip. Talking heads debated tone versus intent, context versus content. Maya noticed a cruel irony. Those same talking heads had never noticed anything in the real office corridors, in the HR memos, in the daily microaggressions. A notification popped up, Grant Whitmore's statement. Corporate, carefully worded, polished, sanitized. Whitmore Technologies is committed to inclusion and integrity. Any interpretations of remarks at the Innovate Summit do not reflect company values. Maya laughed softly, sharp. Integrity, huh? Tasha shook her head. They're spinning. Try and control damage. Maya's phone buzzed again. This time, it was a direct message from a former employee she had never met. You're the first person who made me feel seen. Thank you. Another message followed almost immediately. We've been waiting for someone to speak. Thank you for doing it. Her chest tightened. Relief mixed with grief. So many people had suffered silently. By mid-afternoon, regulatory attention had started. Local government offices sent inquiries. City contracts were flagged for review. Sponsors began sending cautious emails about future partnerships. The dominoes, once invisible, were beginning to fall. Maya leaned back, staring at her ceiling. The fight wasn't over. It had just entered the next stage, public scrutiny. Her phone rang. This time, Denise's voice was firm. Prepare for depositions. Grant will be deposed. The board will be deposed. We need your statements solid and unshakable. Maya nodded. I understand. Tasha placed a hand on her shoulder. You're not alone. I know, Maya whispered, but it still feels like stepping onto a battlefield wearing paper armor. Outside, the city hummed along, unaware that inside one apartment, a quiet reckoning was unfolding. Every tweet, every comment, every share had made the invisible visible. Maya felt a spark, a mixture of fear and resolve. This wasn't performative justice, and it wouldn't be simple. But the system that had let Grant think he was untouchable, it was beginning to crack. And for the first time, she believed that maybe, just maybe, she could help tear it down completely. The law office smelled of polished wooden paper, an aroma Maya had grown used to over the past few weeks. It was calm, sterile, and disciplined. Too calm, too neutral for what was about to happen. Maya sat across from Denise Walker, who reviewed the deposition packet one last time. "Remember," Denise said, "your job is to stick to facts. Dates, emails, witnesses. Don't speculate, don't perform. Just evidence." Maya nodded, heart steady but pulse quick. Her hands rested on the stack of printed documents. Emails, HR notes, performance reviews, and internal complaints. Every page a reminder of years she'd been underestimated, dismissed, or ignored. The door opened. A court reporter, clipboard in hand, gave a polite nod. Behind her, two men in dark suits entered, Grant Whitmore's legal team. And then, finally, Grant himself. His stride was measured, confident, but she noticed a tightness in his jaw. The arrogance she had once feared was tempered now by something more vulnerable, uncertainty. "Ms. Carter," Denise said softly, "remember, breathe. You're in control of your words." The court reporter began, tapping keys. "This deposition is now on the record. State your full name, please." "Maya Carter," she said. Her voice didn't shake. Grant's lawyer, a tall man with a clipped tone, leaned forward. "Ms. Carter, is it true you were upset after the Innovate Summit?" "I was humiliated publicly by the CO, yes," Maya said. "Humiliated," he repeated. Could this be an overreaction? Misinterpretation of tone. Maya's eyes met Grant's. "No, it was recorded. It's evidence." The lawyer scribbled on a notepad, lips tight. "And what evidence do you have that this pattern existed prior to the summit?" Maya opened her folder. Emails, complaints, HR notes, performance reviews, repeated incidents, statements from former employees, settlements with non-disparagement clauses. This was documented over years. Grant leaned back, attempting a smirk, but it faltered when Denise leaned forward. "Ms. Carter, please stick to the facts, not conjecture." "I am sticking to facts," Maya said, her voice crisp. "This is a systemic pattern. Every document here proves it." One of the opposing attorneys pressed harder. "You said you felt discriminated against. Could this not be subjective perception?" Maya's fingers tightened around a performance review from her second year. "It is subjective to feel humiliated, but the evidence of bias is objective. Dates, repeated delays in promotion, denial of raises, and dismissive HR responses. These are facts, not feelings." Grant's eyes flicked away, irritated. This is ridiculous. She's twisting normal corporate management into harassment. Maya's heart sank for a moment at the casual cruelty, but she spoke evenly. "It is harassment when it consistently undermines my professional authority and communicates I am inferior because of race." Denise interjected. "Ms. Carter, can you detail any witnesses?" "Yes," Maya said. She named assistants, former colleagues, and even Tasha, who had been present that night. All will corroborate the behaviors and incidents. The opposing counsel leaned back, smirk fading. "So you claim that this pattern existed, yet you stayed silent for years?" Maya took a breath. "Because the system is designed to exhaust employees like me. HR discourages complaints. Leadership spins incidents. Retaliation is real. I gathered proof. I waited until I had enough." Grant's jaw tightened. His lawyer scowled. "This is theater, nothing more." Maya's eyes met Grant's. "No theater, just facts. And the truth is inconvenient for you." The deposition continued for hours. Each question, each cross-examination felt like walking through fire, reliving every insult, every dismissal, every subtle undermining. But Maya stayed steady, citing dates, forwarding emails, producing witness statements. By the end, the lawyers had grown noticeably more cautious. Grant, once untouchable in his certainty, had begun to flinch at the weight of his own record. Denise whispered as they stepped out of the conference room, "You were remarkable. Keep this focus, and the record speaks for itself." Maya exhaled, exhaustion pooling in her bones. "It doesn't feel like victory." "No," Denise said softly. "It's the foundation. The legal system moves slowly. but you've built a case that can't be ignored. Outside, Tasha was waiting. She held 2 coffees, the city lights reflecting off the glass walls of the office building. How did it go? Maya took one, hand still shaking slightly. I survived it, she said. But surviving isn't enough. This is just step 1. Tasha nodded. Step 1 is enough. Most people don't even take that. Maya stared out at the city below, the streets humming with oblivious life. She thought of the Innovate Summit, Grant snapping fingers, the audience that laughed too fast, the mic that stayed on. She clenched her cup. Step 1 is all the leverage I need. For the first time, she believed that every injustice she had endured, every slight brushed aside as minor, could now be transformed into accountability. And she was ready to see it through. The municipal building smelled of polished stone and disinfectant. Reporters crowded the hallway. Cameras poised, microphones extended, all waiting for a glimpse of Maya. She felt their eyes before she saw them, the weight of public attention pressing like an unseen hand against her back. Inside, the hearing room was cavernous. Long wooden tables faced a panel of city officials, regulators, and representatives from oversight committees. Grant Whitmore and his legal team sat to one side, faces rigid, guarded. Across from them, Maya, Tasha, and Denise set up documents. Files stacked neatly, a small army of evidence in physical form. The chairman called the room to order. We are convened today to review allegations of discriminatory conduct at Whitmore Technologies. Ms. Carter, you may begin. Maya inhaled slowly, feeling the weight of years of careful planning and silent endurance. Thank you, she said. I am here because of a pattern of behavior that was finally exposed during the Innovate Summit. I've documented internal complaints, performance evaluations, HR correspondence, and settlements that collectively demonstrate systemic bias and abuse of power. A lawyer for Grant attempted an interruption. Objection, Your Honor. This is inflammatory. Maya didn't flinch. This is factual, not inflammatory, she said, voice carrying to the panel. She laid out examples. The repeated delays of promotions, pay disparities masked as market adjustments, dismissive HR emails, and private derogatory remarks. She named witnesses, all corroborating the pattern of discrimination, and cited the live mic incident as the tipping point. Grant's face tightened. He leaned toward his lawyer, whispering rapidly, but it was clear. The casual confidence he had relied on for years was faltering. The panel asked clarifying questions. One regulator's voice was sharp but fair. Ms. Carter, how did the company respond when these complaints were submitted? They were dismissed or ignored. Maya replied evenly. Sometimes I was told to not misinterpret tone, or that I should not appear difficult. Complaints were buried, not addressed. The live mic incident forced the system's hand. It revealed intent, not merely oversight. A city official glanced at Grant. Mr. Whitmore, how do you respond to allegations of systemic discrimination? Grant cleared his throat, his carefully crafted bravado cracking. This is being exaggerated. I have never acted with discriminatory intent. Maya met his gaze steadily. Intent is irrelevant when power creates harm repeatedly. The evidence shows a pattern. Employees are impacted regardless of whether you think it counts as discrimination. The panel shifted, taking notes. The atmosphere tightened. The hearing had moved beyond a formative inquiry. The story wasn't just being recounted. It was being formalized into an institutional record. A witness from HR, previously silent, was called. She confirmed that complaints had been escalated up the chain, yet never addressed. Another employee testified remotely, explaining how subtler forms of bias, microaggressions, selective mentoring, blocked opportunities, had created a hostile work environment. Grant's lawyer attempted to spin the evidence as isolated incidents. Maya countered each point with dates, emails, and witness statements. Her voice remained calm, deliberate, professional. Each detail landed like a stone against the fragile veneer of Grant's authority. By mid-afternoon, sponsors and investors were called to submit statements about ethical practices. Several noted that their confidence in the company had been shaken by the live stream and subsequent reports. The mayor's office indicated that public contracts would be reviewed carefully. Maya felt a chill, not of fear, but of recognition. The system, one protective of power, was cracking under scrutiny. Every board member, every investor, every regulator now had access to facts that could no longer be ignored. Grant shifted in his seat, visibly frustrated, glancing at his lawyer and the panel repeatedly. His usual posture of control was gone, replaced with defensive tension. Finally, the chairman leaned forward. Based on the submissions today, an independent review will be initiated. Effective immediately, Mr. Whitmore will be temporarily relieved of executive duties, pending the outcome. Further, the company will undergo a formal audit of workplace practices and employee complaints. The words landed with quiet force. Maya felt a complex mixture of satisfaction and somber reflection. The first tangible consequences for Grant's actions were emotion, not fantasy, not vengeance, but real, procedural accountability. Grant's eyes locked on hers for a brief moment. There was anger, yes, but also a flicker of something else. Realization. He had been untouchable, and now, step by step, the walls around him were falling. As the hearing concluded, Maya packed her folders. Tasha fell in step beside her. "We did it," Tasha said softly. Maya shook her head. "No, we just started it. The audit, the investigation. It's only the beginning, but it's enough to make sure this doesn't happen again. At least not quietly." Outside, cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. Social media buzzed. The story had shifted. What had been a viral humiliation had transformed into an undeniable narrative of accountability. Maya inhaled deeply, feeling the weight of every injustice she had endured. She thought of the Innovate Summit, the mic that stayed on, the subtle patterns of power that had threatened her for years. For the first time, she felt a faint glimmer of control. The tables had turned, and while the fight wasn't over, she was no longer powerless. She glanced at Grant one last time as he was escorted out. The confidence he had worn like armor had collapsed. His downfall wasn't spectacular, but it was methodical, and it was real. Maya walked into the hallway, a mixture of exhaustion and resolve settling over her. The fight had cost her much already, but she had proven that resilience, documentation, and unwavering courage could create change. The public would watch, the company would respond, and the system would be tested. But Maya knew this. She had made herself visible. She had forced accountability, and no one could take that away. The city skyline glittered through the glass walls of Maya's new office, temporary, rented space, far from the polished towers of Whitmore Technologies. The lights below moved with careless rhythm, unaware that one woman had just shifted the balance of power in a corporate empire. Grant Whitmore had officially been removed. Legal penalties and public scrutiny ensured his reputation was fractured. Derek Mills had resigned quietly, muttering about miscommunications, while the board scrambled to rebrand the company in the eyes of the public. Policies were being rewritten, internal audits scheduled, HR practices re-examined. Maya had won accountability, but the victory felt muted. Tasha leaned back in the chair across from her, sipping coffee. "They're calling it reform," she said. "I call it damage control." Maya nodded. "Same thing, but at least the system can't ignore it anymore." Denise Walker, ever precise, entered with a folder. "Settlement offers arrived," she said. "They're generous, but there's a clause, no public commentary." Maya took the papers, scanning them. Good money, safety, comfort, but she shook her head. "I can't sign that. Not until the policies are in place and protections guaranteed." Denise nodded, unsurprised. "Then we negotiate. You want systemic change, not silence." Maya leaned back, letting the weight of the past months settle around her. The sleepless nights, the live mic, the endless documentation, the emails, the witnesses, the boardroom stares. She had navigated power, exposure, and media frenzy and survived. But survival didn't erase the emotional cost. Her phone buzzed again. Messages from employees at Whitmore Technologies poured in gratitude, support, quiet admissions of long-standing fear. One simple line from a former colleague caught her in the chest. "We thought we were invisible. You made us visible." Maya's fingers hovered over the keyboard, unsure how to respond. Words felt inadequate, but the acknowledgement was enough for now. enough to remind her that what she had done wasn't just about her own dignity. Hours later, she found herself walking through a park near her apartment. The evening air smelled of wet grass and early winter smoke. The city hummed around her, people moving in routines that hadn't changed, yet somehow everything had. She thought of Grant, of the arrogance that had once made him untouchable. His downfall had been methodical, quiet, and inevitable, a result of documentation, truth, and exposure. Maya paused near a bench, staring at a reflection in the dark surface of a puddle. She was no longer invisible, but the reflection was fragmented, like the view in the boardroom glass. Every insult, every dismissal, every microaggression had left a mark. Her triumph was intertwined with trauma. Tasha's voice came over her phone. "Dinner? You need to eat something that isn't takeout and email." Maya smiled faintly. "Yeah, I think I do." They met at a small diner, neon lights flickering, a safe bubble away from cameras and press. Tasha slid across the booth. "You changed a lot of things tonight," she said. "Not just for you, but for everyone else." Maya nodded, stirring her coffee. "Not all of them," she said softly. "Some will still get ignored. But the record exists now, and that counts for something." Tasha reached across the table, squeezing her hand. "It counts for everything." Maya let herself lean back, exhaling, feeling the tension in her shoulders ease slightly. There was still work to do, testimonies, follow-ups, corporate reforms, but for the first time, she allowed herself to believe in resilience. Returning home, she opened her laptop, checking the news. Headlines had shifted from scandal to accountability. Analysis pieces dissected systemic patterns of discrimination. Interviews praised her courage, noted her preparation, highlighted her refusal to be silenced. She didn't read them all. She didn't need to. The record was enough. Later, in the quiet of her apartment, Maya sat alone and reflected on the cost. Friendship strained, sleep lost, trust fractured. She had sacrificed comfort and certainty, but in return, she had reclaimed something that no settlement or apology could erase: her agency. She opened a blank document, fingers hovering, not to tell her story yet, not for media, not for accolades, but to chart a path forward. Policies, procedures, safe reporting systems, mentorship, advocacy, change she could touch directly. Outside, the city lights flickered and blurred into the night. Maya felt the faint warmth of hope amidst exhaustion. The fight had been hard, but she was still standing. And she would keep standing, not just for herself, but for every person who had once been told they didn't belong in the room. For the first time in years, she felt the weight of applause, not staged, not performative, but real. A quiet, enduring recognition that truth, persistence, and courage could bend even the tallest towers of power. Maya closed her laptop, letting the silence settle around her. She had won more than justice. She had ensured the story wouldn't be erased. The mic had stayed on. The truth had been spoken, and now the room would have to listen. And as she lay back, exhausted but resolute, she knew one thing. The work ahead would be hard, but the cost of silence had always been higher. The applause, finally, was hers to keep.